all of the meth crack. It's what I do. When I'm taking my meds, or I've forgotten to take my meds and my schizophrenia is acting up, I smoke all the meth crack. Lordy. You know, I keep trying to think about, like, what else I should be talking about. You know, don't want to talk about the same thing every day. But, you know, I gauge my conversation off of what I think is important. And, you know, granted, there'll be other things that come up. There'll be a little whatever that I'll check out, and different ideas that I may have one way or another, and I definitely talk about them. But the reality is, there is nothing else that's more important, and everything is connected to the same thing. Whether it's the narrative that you're told, who's behind it, you know, who's at the top of whatever you're talking, like all of it, it's always the same. And that's the thing that we need to be focused on instead of all of the distractions, because the distractions are plenty. There are lots of them. And there are lots of distractions that you think might be like you're doing the right thing. Of course, we should be talking about Epstein and Trump and all that. Of course we should be. But what are we talking about? Are we talking about what they want us to talk about, or are we talking about the real issues? And most of the time, we're talking about what they want us to talk about. There is no, you know, I mean, just look around. Look at all the people that you can see. Like I say all the time, look at all the Epstein videos. There are just endless Epstein videos. Endless. Pointing in all sorts of directions, pointing out all kinds of shit that matters and pieces of it, blah, blah, blah. But then there's the underlying issue that doesn't get talked about. And the reality is, we've all just been so programmed, we don't think we're allowed to talk about it. We don't think we're allowed to say what the real problem is and address who is really behind, you know, the curtain, so to speak. And we all know the answer. That's the craziest part, is we all know who it is. We all know the thing we're not supposed to. What are you waiting on, dude? We all know the thing we're not supposed to talk about. Like that, we all know that that's the way it is. We all know that if you do talk about this one group, then you're going to stifle your career. You know, you get fired, you get in trouble, all of it. And we all know it, and we act like that's just that way because, I mean, I really don't know. I don't know. Why do you think we can't talk about them? What special privilege do they have that absolves them from any sort of conversation, scrutiny, you know, any of it? And it's just that kind of thought process where you have to start there. You have to start with asking yourself these questions, like, make it make sense. Why would anybody be, you know, outside of the scope of just simple conversation? You know, the answer is always obvious. The reason why you can't talk about something is there's a reason why they're making it illegal to talk about one specific group, one people. There's a reason why they lie to you and try to make it more important than it is. You know, this new law that says the Israeli flag is representation of the Jewish race. I'm not talking about a race of people. And even if, okay, so if you say we are, the fact that I don't agree with it, and it, there's a conversation to be had, that should be, that should say something. But the fact that we're not allowed to have that conversation is even more telling. Why wouldn't we be allowed to have the conversation? Who the fuck is your daddy? Why aren't you going? She gave you the option. Who is the daddy that tells you what you are and aren't allowed to talk about? Don't you think that's strange? Like, I was watching Ali G, and there was the episode where he had the group discussion with religious people. One was an atheist, one was a priest, one was a Jew, a rabbi, and one was, I don't remember what the Asian broad was. She was like a professor of studies or some, I don't know. But there was one point where Ali G says something and the priest gets this like real angry face. Some people might find that disrespectful. Some people might not like that you said that. And it's like, yeah, who cares? Like, you cannot like things that are said all day long. You don't have to like everything. And the arrogance in thinking that you not liking something means somebody shouldn't say it. It's just like, it's like swear words and shit. People who get all weird about, oh, there's children present. Don't say swear words when there's children present. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you crazy? Those children hear all sorts of swear words all the time. And granted, I to some degree, I agree. Like, yeah, don't be potty mouth, like sailor talk in front of children, talking about pussy and all that. Don't do that. Yeah, that makes sense. They've sacrificed the red heifer. Yeah, I saw something about that. Didn't they say, though, that there were 2 black hairs found on the heifer, so it didn't count? Yeah, I don't... Their whole thing is bullshit. It's nonsense. If their thing was right and they were, they really were the chosen people and all that, they wouldn't need to make laws to they wouldn't need to manipulate things to make the situation come their way. They would just present their narrative and it would be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, let's go with it. What's really sad is the talk radio people and their defense of Israel and how genocide is different because of October 7th. But what's sad is that there is no Project Bluebeam coming in November. Yeah, maybe. Didn't hear that, but they keep people inside their whole lives to be ready for the ritual. Yeah, I don't know. But the whole thing, like the fact that we as a people aren't demanding an investigation into October 7th. That we just accept this narrative that isn't true. No Israelis died and no Israelis were taken hostage on October 7th. And if some did die, it was because of the Hannibal Directive. It's because they killed their own. But the whole narrative about the Hamas and, the tank and the paragliders, and it's all just bullshit. It's literally just... straight up bullshitio. And it's embarrassing. I've done done the research. I've looked into October 7th to see if it does it make sense? Does it add up? Does, you know, is it you know, is it something that has weight behind it and is you know, easily explained? And it's just not. It's dumb. It's a really bad narrative, and the fact that there is no evidence to prove it should wake people the fuck up. Eternal glory to the resistance. Al-Qaeda flood. Yeah. You know, when it comes to anything that has to do with the weather anymore, we aren't talking about something that is just totally natural, and if it happens, it's because it's the will of God. And like that boat that was hit by the water spout that had all the rich people on it, and like it's just not, it's not real. And it depends on your level of understanding, you know, how you'll see things. But, you know, like, the reality is weather manipulation is old technology. We're not talking about, you know, the future at this point. And really, there's no point in arguing with people who aren't willing to educate themselves and look for themselves. It's you know, if I say that there's HAARP and you're just like, nah, there's no HAARP, HAARP, well, I mean, I don't know what to say there. It's a very well documented, exposed, you know, there's lots of information out there surrounding it. I heard there's an energy device in Antarctica that can cause earthquakes whenever they want, like Iran during the 12-day war. Yeah, not Antarctica, Alaska. And actually, they have multiple HAARP facilities all over the world. HAARP is just the high altitude auroral blah blah, you know. But that's just a small piece. Oh, fuck, I'm stuck. HAARP is a there's a lot of them. That's all I can say. There's a lot of HAARPs out there. You know, there's a lot of technology and weaponry out there that we are just not privy to. They keep it from us for their benefit. The fact that HAARP isn't this well-known thing, you know. I've been saying it for years. We need to stop using the death, doom, and gloom to try to get people to see things and start appeasing, you know, people's common sense, people's sensibilities. And things like HAARP and chemtrails and shit, why aren't we, you know, rich people, man. Rich people don't need to lose their houses to their houses and their stuff to forest fires, to hurricanes and shit like that. That's not something that needs to happen anymore. And if you don't believe it, oh, look at you with your blue line badge. Fuck you. If you don't believe it, just look at 9/11. People don't understand. There was a hurricane scheduled to hit New York, like an unprecedented, once in a fucking lifetime hurricane was barreling down directly towards New York. And on 9/11, the weather reports show that the front that was this hurricane is seemingly hitting something out in the ocean. It's hitting some sort of like invisible wall and preventing it from coming to shore. It's not, it's like not a question. It's not up for debate. It's the truth. Our whole reality is constructed. I agree. And I think that's what we're talking about. They are so arrogant, they put it on magazine covers 10 months apart. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, they're so arrogant, they did the synagogue shootings 6 months or 8 months to the day apart. It's what they do. You know, they're so arrogant, they're literally running the same program, the Epstein-Maxwell program. You know, Epstein is just Maxwell 2.0. And it's right there. You don't have to look hard. As a matter of fact, Epstein was fucking Maxwell's daughter. And actually, she was the power. I learned so much from so many different sources and pick up these little pieces everywhere. And one of the people that I've learned a great deal from, or at least an important aspect of things from, was Dr. Judy Wood. And Dr. Judy Wood, if she was a he, would be one of the most famous, truthers in the world. But she's a woman, so, you know how we are. But she's what's called a forensic engineer. And what she does is, this is what she says. She's somebody that investigates building collapses and shit like that, or bridge collapses, when things structurally fail, and from an engineering standpoint, and they're trying to figure out how it all works. She's who they call. She's one of those people. Angels don't play this harp. Exactly. Angels aren't real either. But the Dr. Judy Wood said that the worst thing to do is to go into something that you're trying to figure out with expectations, with an understanding. So she says, like, when she would go to an accident scene or a collapse of some sort, she would never want to talk to anyone about it. She would never want to talk to the police chief or anyone else's shit. She didn't want to know what you thought it was. She said she would go to the building collapse and let the building collapse tell her what happened. Because if you go into it saying there was a bomb and the bomb took the building down, then that's what you're looking for, and that's what you're going to find. You're going to find the evidence that a bomb went off. And you'll ignore the evidence that's to the contrary. So if you don't have any sort of expectation to begin with, other than the building collapsed, then you can go into it more clear-headed, more clear-minded, and able to get an understanding that you wouldn't get otherwise. It's just a book title. I know I've heard it before. I didn't know it was a book. The October 7th false flag was on their December magazine cover. I'd have to see more. I don't know. And Trump is now involved in all of this too. What do you mean is now involved? Trump has always been involved. You don't get to be Trump's level without, being a part of it. They don't run that risk. They don't just pull in anybody. There's plenty of talented, smart, capable people out there that aren't pulled into the system. Because those people haven't already proven to be diabolical. They haven't proven that they're down for child rape. They haven't proven, you have to prove that you're that person to be given the opportunity to begin with. So to think that Trump was ever a good guy, he wasn't. He never was. And it, like, to me, it's always really interesting because it's not like I'm necessarily talking shit, right? But when I ask someone like Algo, who fell for Trump, or this other person who fell for Trump, what was it that you fell for to begin with? I don't see the thing that so many people fell for. Trump has always represented racism, sexism, homophobia. I never thought of him as some decent dude who is going to make proper changes and, all that shit. So I always wonder, like, what was the appeal to you to begin with? And you should be honest. If it was because of the racist stuff, and maybe you've gotten past the racist stuff, if that's what appealed to you, then you have to acknowledge it. But this is, this is that thing. We need to really looking at things from that honest perspective and let the situation tell us what it is, instead of, you've been fed with so much New World Order, Illuminati, fucking all that bullshit. You've been fed that shit for such a long time that you end up thinking like it's your own thing, like you discovered something, like you found some secret. And I'm always like, motherfucker, they made movies about that shit. National Treasures and Da Vinci Codes and all that shit. They're not that's no secret. They're not trying to hide that from you. J.D. Vance connected to Palantir and Peter Thiel. Palantir works for CIA and Mossad. Vance is a Manchurian candidate for Israel domination. I don't think he's a Manchurian candidate. The Manchurian candidate sort of suggests that he's a normal guy who, is a good guy who gets, the secret word dropped, and then he switches into Sirhan killer mode. J.D. Vance went to Yale. J.D. Vance is a skull and bonesman. Not talked about. But they made this big deal about the hillbilly Yalesman. Yale doesn't accept those people. Yale's not going to accept some mountain man, this, that, and the other. You know what else is crazy? When you look at J.D. Vance, and this happens with a lot of those guys, if you catch him smiling and it's from the side, you'll see that only like the front 4 or 6 teeth are white. The teeth behind, once they open their mouths, are fucking brown and nasty. Go look, J.D. Vance has that shit going on. But Vance is a skull and bonesman. It's something that it's just weird. Like, same thing with Kavanaugh. Algo and I used to get in all kinds of arguments about this. Because he was real big into, Blasey Ford is a CIA operative, and this is just a thing to get Trump and all this other shit. And it was embarrassing, but it was like, you never heard anybody talk about the fact that Kavanaugh was a skull and bonesman. He went to Yale. I don't think everyone that went to Yale is a skull and bonesman, but I do think there's a very good chance that if you're in a very high position like that and you went to Yale, you're a skull and bonesman. That's exactly why they picked him, because he was from poor Appalachia. He was mentioned by Thiel. He was only in politics for 1 term when he made. Yeah, again, I really, it's like believing that Epstein was grew up in New York to a family with a father who was a godfather who was a part-time substitute teacher or some shit. Their their entire backgrounds, their whole narrative, everything is made up. J.D. Vance is not from poor Appalachia. Like, what have you seen from J.D. Vance that shows you he's so intelligent he was accepted into Yale? Nothing about JD, good old JD. Nothing about JD. Nothing about JD screams intelligence. Nothing about JD screams, you know.
Nobody knew who the fuck he was.
But nobody knew who Obama was. You know, Obama was the senator from Chicago.
Senator. What did J.D. Vance do? Obama was a senator.
Yeah, we're told, and put in the position here. You gotta take care. I gotta go pay.
Been in politics. People knew who he was. Those of us that, aren't full of politics, maybe not, but nobody knew who J.D. Vance was. Other than now we know he's a racist and a chauvinist and a fucking piece of shit that doesn't like poor people. And yeah, he needs to go. They all need to go. They need to get the fuck out of there. I'm not a fan of them. But again, that's not exclusive to Republicans, or it has nothing to do with that. You're a piece of shit person. You shouldn't be running our country. The other thing is that, like, seriously, people talk about the tariffs and they say, oh, they're bad, and the different trade agreements that he's absolutely obliterated, and the allies that he's ostracized. That it may seem a little chaotic to us and wrong and whatnot, but what does that mean for us in 10 years? What does that mean when, God forbid, something catastrophic happens and we need the aid of the people that we've traditionally been allies with, and they don't come? Like, the ramifications of
there is no bad guys and all that shit like that.
I didn't say bad guys.
I know, but something catastrophic.
Catastrophic. That could mean Yellowstone finally fucking erupts.
Yellowstone's not going to erupt.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I know, but I know what you're saying.
The ramifications of what he's doing now is going to have long-term effects that people aren't even realizing the brevity of.
Again, I think it's like if you go back and you look at 70s news reports, they will swear up and down that by 2025, Florida is going to be underwater.
Sure. I mean, I get that. But, that's not my point, though. My point is, he's really causing much more damage than people even are thinking about. His administration,
yeah, I agree with you to a degree. I mean, again, I just don't think, I think everything that's done Trump-wise and all that, I mean, this is all, Trump's just the actor. Trump is not a real, like, the presidency is not a real thing. That's the problem that most people just can't wrap their head around. The presidency is just a fake It's another fake bunch of bullshit to make you think a certain way, to give that illusion of control, or that illusion of power, that illusion of choice, that illusion of freedom. But the president is nothing. He's nothing. He's the head actor. He does nothing real. Nothing about him is real. You know, none of the narratives we're given are real. Everything that we're told is death, doom, and gloom. Reality star. Reagan was an actor. Yeah, Trump is Reagan 2.0 for sure. Down to the fake shooting and everything. Trump is you know, my wife is very, she's like, she cares more than most. She's more compassionate. She's her feelings are more, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's something that can be manipulated more so than a lot of it. But you know, it's all just a show. And when you think about literally everything you believe is part of that show. Everything after the original Russiagate, aka Watergate, is circus. Why do you think anything before that is true? This is why it's so hard to, like, this is that nut that's so hard to crack. People just, it's what you like. It's your arrogance. And I know people don't like being called arrogant. You know, and maybe you might not be that type of person in your everyday life. But what you're not understanding is that your belief structure is arrogant. The way that you look at it all is arrogant. IDK, what he's saying. Nebulous. Huh? You know, everybody always wants to be the smartest guy in the room. Everybody always wants to, you know, they know the thing, they can, you know. And it's we all want that. I'm not even saying, I'm not like not including myself. You mean Cripple Roosevelt was ringmaster, or that Teddy Roosevelt was the last real leader? None of it's true. And once we start getting into the, you know, pre-1930s and shit, I mean, even now, this guy we know, he's on death's door, and he's like 90-something years old. But the reality is, he doesn't remember any of that shit from 1930 and beyond. He was born in like 26 or some shit, I don't remember. He's 98, so he was born in 27, 28, whatever. Not only does he not remember any of it, but the world you lived in 1928, 1930, 1940, was so much smaller than the world you live in now. And it's really hard for us to conceptualize it, right? Like it's weird for me. I spent, let's see, more than half my life, I did not have a smartphone. You know, and I actually resisted cell phones at first too. But smartphones are a game changer. It's a lot easier to fool people pre-internet. Exactly. And so when you like, I say this to you and people get mad, but like, you know, the average person today is way, way smarter than your grandparents. Although your grandparents could easily do, you know, be given a test and probably do better on the test than you could when it comes to sort of standard narratives that you're supposed to know. They may be able to do math equations in their head that you can't do. They have intelligence. I'm not saying they're dumb. But just the fact that you walk around with this cell phone in your hand makes you exponentially smarter than anyone else prior to cell phones. People just needed a healthy skepticism. They still do. They don't have it. They believe things way more than they should. And the weird part is, people pre-internet wouldn't believe the things that were shown today. Strangely enough, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to chalk the sky with chemtrails and the people pre-internet would be like, yeah, that's just what planes do. You know? We were a lot more skeptical. At the same time, when the system says, hey, completely, totally lies and makes up the notion that there is a 1976 swine flu and everybody needs to come get their shots and come get your inoculations and shit. You know, people just ran out and did it. They didn't even question it. You know, and the jet injector method that they had where they didn't even clean it off. It was just like a hose attached to this water jet that would shoot a stream of water, such pressurized water that it would break your skin. That's why so many people have that little circle on their arm. I know my dad did. And I would ask him about that, and he would say, oh, that's a polio shot or something like that. And I think it's just because he doesn't remember it. I think he doesn't really, you know, I don't think most people understand that was probably your 76 swine flu injection. You know, you look into jet injectors, you know, it came out in the 80s that the jet injector method transferred enough material from person to person to be able to transmit hepatitis. And this is what they used to use on all of us. Internet is an explosion of information, good and bad, so interpreting info is even more important. For sure. For sure. I didn't have an Android until 22. Before that, I was Nokia. You know, I miss having a phone that had the little green light that would show up when you would get a message, a yellow light that would show up if you got that. Like, remember that? But it's so hard to like let go of the arrogance. To, you know, well, I know this, and I spent a lot of time looking into this, and I researched this, and I yada yada. You just don't know. And the thing is, if it's really not even about the you know, it's not even about necessarily individual situations and whatnot. It's the general thought process that you know, that is so affected by all of this. If you can control how people think, then what people think doesn't matter. You can get them to think whatever you want them to. If you convince people that you live on a round ball flying through vacuum empty space, then you can go with dinosaurs, you can go with asteroids and meteors and big bangs and all these different things that come from this one belief structure. You know, if you trick people into believing in germs, well, then they're going to believe in vaccines, they're going to believe in super bugs, they're going to believe in, you know, put on your coat, you don't want to catch a cold. It's controlling how we think that's most important. You get people believing in God, and you can control so many different aspects of their life. Strangely enough, the vast majority of you believe in God. You call yourself a Christian, and yet you believe the earth is a round ball flying through space. Like, it's amazing how contradictory your beliefs are, and you still accept it. I always find it fascinating how many people get mad at the conversation about the earth shape. Or again, what the question being, like, what is the thing that controls that in you? What is the thing that that makes you accept one narrative over another? It's such a powerful exercise. And literally, I've been doing this now for quite some time. Like this particular thing for a couple of weeks now. Where I've really been focusing on this one question that nobody ever even answers. It's really strange. Like, I've had one, maybe two people say something along the lines of like, well, God says not to worship anyone else but him. And that's their answer? But for the most part, people just ignore the question. You know, you would think they would be proud. You know, if I asked you, why are you a Christian and not a Muslim? You would think you'd be proud to be like, oh, I'm a Christian because of this, and this, and this, and I'm a Muslim because of this. Same, you know, the question can be reversed either way. I heard someone say Earth is a torus shape, like a donut. I was interested in the hollow Earth theory. I mean, I'm not. I think the hollow Earth theory is dumb. You know, do I... You know, I absolutely believe that there are levels and layers to this thing that we don't understand, but the idea that we're in this ball, you know, curvature would be seen. You can't be in or on a ball where the limitations of what being on that in or on that structure. Like, there are too many places on Earth where you can see way further than you should be able to see. Yeah. Personally, I think it's some sort of dome. It's some sort of structure. For all we know, it could be on a tabletop. You know, they like to give us clues in multiple different places, and I think Legoland actually gave us a pretty good clue. The idea that there are multiple domes and they're at different time periods. This dome is the modern, at least by our account, time period. There's an old West one. There's an old Japanese one with the, you know, with the ninjas, Ninjago and shit. But when you think about, like, where we are, us humans, how far away do you think we are from having some sort of structure that has life in it that doesn't know that it's inside of something, and that we have cameras everywhere and we're just filming it. We're watching the ultimate reality TV show. How far away do you think we are from that? I know there are underground oceans with more water than seas. Also huge caverns underground. Well, well, you don't know that, but you believe that. And you have to just think about something as simple as rainfall. You know, most of you, every one of you, none of you question the rain. None of you ever question, like, you all know that it rains because the sun evaporates water, the water turns into condensation, and eventually precipitation. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. It's a mantra that we've all been given since a young age. Long before you went to school, you would see Sesame Street talking about evaporation, condensation, precipitation. And so you just accept this idea like it makes sense, but it doesn't, especially if you live on a ball flying through space. You know. And then you try to account for different types of weather. But the thing is, if you just look up how hail is formed, right? Hail is supposedly formed because a piece of dust or debris of some sort gets caught in an updraft, and the updraft it is a super chilled updraft that takes the piece of debris all the way up, and according to the narrative, the piece of dust or whatever, there's basically an upside down lake, and the piece of dust will go into the lake, get a layer of water around it, and then as it falls back down, it instantly freezes because it's so super cold, and then gets pushed back up into this upside down lake. And that keeps happening over and over again until hail gets to be whatever size. There's no standard size for hail. It's just whatever that hail. I mean, some hail can be tiny little specks, little pebbles. Some hail can be the size of a fucking grapefruit. And to think that this is what's happening, that this piece of debris is just getting blown up and down and up and down and up and down until it grows to the size of a grapefruit is ridiculous. You believe it? So is the rain a hoax? I mean, you experienced the rain, right? The only part that I'm questioning is the cause. The cause of the rain doesn't make sense to me. You know, look at it from the wintertime aspect, right? In the winter, what is being evaporated to fuel the snowstorm that will, you know, it'll just continue to drop snow. There are times when it'll snow feet worth of snow came out of this system, this storm system. Well, where did all of that water come from? Where was it evaporated from so that it could, you know, it could snow here in Michigan? 2 feet of snow fell. What's recharging these clouds? It's not like the sun is continuously evaporating water and it's just flying up. I mean, it's cold. So where is this coming from? I just mean, where do we draw the line here? We must have some way of orientating ourselves, explaining our surroundings. Must we? I mean, the reality is, until the Goyim unite and work together to overthrow the friars that control our narrative, We don't know shit. We don't know shit, but think about rain, okay? So again, there's no standard size of rain. You can have the little stinging rain or the big old fat rain. You know, you can have different size rain droplets. So it's not like rain gets to a specific size and then it falls. And when you look at clouds, white clouds mean no rain. Dark purpley clouds mean it could rain. Doesn't necessarily definitely mean rain, but it could. So what is it? What is the trigger mechanism that makes the rain start falling to begin with? How about this? I always forget the numbers just because it's so much. But if I say square footage square foot, god damn it, of Chicago. Okay, so the city of Chicago is approximately 234 square miles. Okay, so 234 square, fuck, 234 square miles to square feet. Okay, so it would be 6,523,545,600 square feet. So we'll just round. We'll actually go conservative and round down and say 6.5 billion. Okay, 6.5 billion. 6 billion 5 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay. 1 square foot of water, 1 inch deep, is a gallon. Okay. We all know that a gallon of water is 6 pounds. So 6,500,000,000 times 6, 1, 2, equals 39 billion pounds. 39 billion pounds of water is flying around in the clouds, just waiting to fall down. And then when it does, you know, it happens relatively quickly, and, you know. And that's just 1 inch of rain. Multiply it by 3. Now you're in the 120 billion fucking pounds of water. Like, do you understand how wild that is? In the form of vapor, right, sure. Whatever you want to say. It's in the form of vapor until it does the magical conversion to where it comes in, turns into rain. And again, it's not like there's a standard, you know. It builds up to this size and then it falls. And just think about that with snow. Same fucking thing. So you would think, man, that sure has to be a lot of water vapor that's been evaporated so that it now is flying up in the air waiting for the trigger point. It's a lot of fucking water vapor. So, you know, what's happening? And then you think about weather in itself. So, do you guys know that the like 85 to 90% of the tornadoes that happen in the world happen in the United States? Did you guys know that? Didn't you just sort of assume, fuck, we're on a round ball? Why the fuck would there be a difference in something so significant? Why would it be like that? But it is. Just trying to keep it simple. I get you. But it's not simple. So think about it like this. Because the sun evaporates water from the source, who knows where, we get all sorts of weather. Now, let me go back a little bit for a second. Think about the idea of that what do we say, 39 billion pounds of water. Well, it's not like it gets evaporated. As a matter of fact, it goes into the earth. It's absorbed. All these trees that are around us, you know, all this grass that's everywhere, this all has to be fed. And so all of that water that hits the grass, I mean, at some point the grass gets saturated and it starts flooding up. But eventually it all just goes down. You know, if you're in a city, there's a sewer system where it all goes down into the sewer, and then who knows where it goes. But for the most part, the majority of the rain doesn't go down into the sewers. I mean, it does when there's... Goddamn bees, get the fuck away from me. I don't like you. So I told this story before, but water is recycled. People have watered a sealed container with plants, and the plants use the same water over and over. I mean, it's really gross when you think about it, because every little bit of water that you experience, like every time you turn on your sink, water coming out of that sink has been pissed and shit in by billions of people trillions of times. We're in an enclosed environment, so no new water is created, at least according to the way we're told. But your water pipes, your sewage pipes, they all go to this, you know, whether it's the sink or it's the toilet, they go into the same water pipes that go out of your house and then to the water cleansing facility, where they have a limit. They say, okay, well, this water can have 0.6 billion parts per million, 0.626 parts per billion feces in it. And even then, you don't know if your water has 0.0625 parts per million feces. You just trust the system. Dinosaurs. You know how silly dinosaurs are? The whole idea of dinosaurs is just silly. And your reason for believing in it is silly as well. You know why you believe in dinosaurs? Because you were told to. Nothing in your reality would tell you dinosaurs are real. Were real. You'd never, ever, ever find proof. I've seen the bones in person. No, you haven't. And even if you see bones, all somebody has to do is tell you that's what they are. And you go, okay, I believe it. I just mean if they existed, they used the same water. Yep, very true. So there are so many underwater caves. I've told this story before, but actually I either read it, I think I read it. It's the story of, it's a story of the deepest cave system in the world. And the deepest cave system that we know of, that we explore is I believe it's in Malaysia or Thailand or some shit like that. God damn it, get the fuck away from me, B. And it's as deep as Mount Everest is tall. And along the climb down, there are there are three different what the fuck's it called? Three different like base camps that are there that are full of supplies and shit. So when people make the climb, they don't have to carry as much. But the system is huge, and it's as deep as Mount Everest. So the Nephilim, right? Let's bring in some Bible shit because that makes sense. But there's a story of this crew that was exploring the cave system. And it's not like you just jump in it and you're at the bottom. You have to climb through shit. You know, it's a really massive undertaking to get to the quote bottom. And once you get to the bottom, that's just the bottom as far as we know. You know, they know there's more underneath it. They just haven't gotten that far yet. But this crew was doing an exploration when an unforeseen monsoon hit the region. And you know, huge floods and tons of water was dropped. Belch. Well, according to the narrative, the cave was carved by said water. So this crew is down at the bottom when, you know, almost too late, the warning comes through, hey, there's a monsoon, you got to get the fuck out of there. So they start climbing. And it's almost immediately when they start climbing, the only way to overthrow evil is to prove to everyone their malfeasance. If you have no way of knowing what's true, you just get tossed to and fro in this world. We need objective truth. Yeah, but that's sort of an arrogant statement. Because again, we're not allowed to get objective truth. And we can tackle the objective truths as we get to them. So when it's you know, the truth that we need to focus on right now is the one that we can do something about. And the truth is, the Jews completely control our narrative. And until we unite and overthrow them, we're not going to have the truth. Everybody asks questions. Everybody, you know, believes one thing or another. They, you know, even when it comes to the world shape. Even the arrogant douchebags who are like, hey, they're just fucking around, you're stupid. There's still that thought in their head, like, what if they're wrong? So the truth that we need to focus on right now is the head of the monster. If we want to, if they don't control the rain though, they don't? Says who? I mean, somebody controls HARP. Somebody controls the system that we're in. For all we know, they're chosen because they're the ones connected with those people on the outside who control the system that we're in. Anyway, the cave starts filling up. The people start climbing their way out, and fortunately, they end up making it out. And as they make it out to the first base camp, that's when the rain stops. So they're still inside the cave system, but they had to climb all the way to the top to be safe, and below them was full. It was all full. It was just it was like a big swimming pool that eventually empties out. Well, all of that water doesn't get fucking evaporated, so where does it go? Theoretically, it just goes deeper. But that can't be the case because it has to make its way out. So what is below us that this water is being fed through? What kind of system are we in? Again, it requires, you have to answer the questions, whether they fit your narrative or not. And the idea that there has to be some sort of system in place to push that water from down deep out back into the oceans, well, that's not something that's answered by the narrative we're given. Like the laws of physics that dictate when it rains can be messed with, but science is real and true. No, it's not. Why do you believe that? There are places on this earth called mystery spots where the, quote, laws of physics just don't apply. Here on earth. And these laws, again, it just depends on your grasp of science. When you understand that there are plenty of scientists out there who question the shape of the earth. Yeah, he's protecting.
He's protecting your tea.
No, he's protecting my package that you're trying to steal.
I'm not stealing the package.
Yeah, we know. Wah, wah. It's a bee. I'm scared. There are points where there is a fraction less gravity than what you mean. Is that what you mean? Well, you believe in gravity, so we're in a different space. Why do you believe in gravity? You want to see me defy gravity? I love defying gravity. I can defy gravity for you. You ready? There you go. No force pulling my hair down towards the center of the earth. But again, this is where arrogance comes into play, right? Because you're believing what you want to believe, because science, because whatever said so. The thing that the shepherd that you've agreed to being the shepherd, your shepherd says this. But understand, science is a very easily manipulated thing, right? So say you want to be an astrophysicist who specializes in black holes. Right? You spend a couple $100,000 in school, go to school for all these years, finally get your degree, get your master's. You get put up at this job where you're making 100,000 plus a year, 6 figures, maybe more, 100, 200, whoever, who knows, 100. But you're making really good money. Not to mention you can be like, well, I am a NASA, blah, blah, blah. Well, I am the professor of theoretical physics at the Columbia, blah, or wherever, You get this position of prestige and you make a shit ton of money. When you make a lot of money, you put yourself in a trap, right? Because you make the money, you live the life that fits the money. So you have the big nice house. You have the couple of kids who go to the school. Each kid has their cell phone. Each kid, depending on how old they are, they have their own car, which also has insurance on it. Your wife has the car with the insurance. You have the car with the insurance. Your bill output is $5,000 a month. Well, you stumble across something that isn't supposed to be the way it is. You stumble across, hey, maybe the earth isn't fucking round after all. What the fuck is this? And you say to your comrade, hey, I think I figured something out. What's going on here? This is actually really, how come, what's going on here? And he says, yeah. You know that guy that offed himself by shooting himself in the head twice? Yeah, he was saying the same thing. And you go, whoa, phew, what are you saying? I'm not saying anything. I'm just letting you know. There are several situations where somebody thought what you thought, and then they ended up not here anymore. And so, push this. Don't go further with this. And let's say then you do. You say, you know what? No, I'm not scared. This is right. The people deserve to know this. And they say, okay, well, listen. You can either take your chances, put this information out, and see what happens. And in doing so, you're going to get blacklisted. That very specific degree that you have that enables you to have this amazing job with this amazing position, you won't be able to get that job anywhere. So then what are you going to do? Your master's in theoretical physics specializing in black holes, unless you're working in that particular field, you're fucking useless. What other skills do you have to be able to transfer into another job that's going to maintain the life for not just you, but your children as well? Your children, they're involved in the school, they're involved in the pep rally, the football teams, they have their whole lives and they're on their way to college and all this shit, and you're going to disrupt that? You're going to throw that all away to try to get some information out that clearly somebody else has tried to do and ended up dead for it? No. No. Prove gravity wrong by jumping out of a plane, says the doofus who watches me every single day. What would you do if I wasn't here? Oh, well, actually, we already know. That's why I'm glad you're here. Because if you're not here, you're probably trolling the web for kids. So if I wasn't here, you'd have more time to fucking to go towards kids. I believe in gravity to the extent that if I ignore it, I will die. Not saying I know the cause of it, but its effect. How would you die from ignoring gravity? Would you jump out of a plane without a parachute? Like, do you understand what buoyancy and density are? Such simple concepts. This lighter doesn't fall because gravity is pulling it towards the ground. This lighter falls because it's heavier than the air around it. It's so simple. It's so weird. Because again, you think gravity is this super intelligent force, right? Gravity would have to be the smartest force in all time. Because gravity knows that when it's out in space, it's supposed to make big rocks revolve around fire rocks. And then smaller rocks revolve around those bigger rocks. But as soon as you get onto, which revolving and sticking are two completely different effects, two completely different outcomes. If I said this person is revolving around me because they're walking around me, or this person is stuck to me, you're going to know that there's two completely different things happening there. But gravity knows that on this ball that's spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, it knows exactly how much pressure to keep on water, the oceans and shit, to ensure that not only the oceans, like they don't Like if you're talking about water, hang on, I gotta pee again. Hang on, just hang on a second. Goddamn watermelon and tea. Watermelon and tea make me happy. Watermelon and tea, what make me happy? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Watermelon and tea make me happy. Watermelon and tea. Make me happy. But the gravity knows, like, if you've been a wet tennis ball, what happens? All of the water coagulates, coalesces, comes together in the middle, and then flies off in a spiral. Doesn't fly off in all directions. It depending on how the thing is spinning, the direction it's spinning in, it pools to the center and then flies off. So on the Earth, that's spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, the water should pool in the middle and then fly off. But gravity knows exactly how much pressure to keep on that water. So, it doesn't even move. If you have a big puddle, like you can have huge lakes that look like glass because there's literally no movement happening. Gravity is like, hold still, water. Don't move. Stay right where you are. Oh, see that butterfly? Go ahead, fly, butterfly. Oh, there's a seed. There's a cotton seed floating through the air. Go ahead and float, little cotton seed. You understand? Like you're giving gravity this mind. Centrifugal force is not gravity. Are you crazy right now? No. Centrifugal force has to do with it would counteract gravity. Centrifugal force would bring things together. It's the gravity that you believe in that is supposedly overriding that centrifugal force in order to keep everything exactly where it is. But see, this is where it's like you're making arguments that I'm not making. You're not addressing the points that are being made. We weren't talking about centrifugal force being gravity. Just understand that what you end up believing is contradictory to itself. And gravity is what most people call gravity is buoyancy and density. Gravity is this magical force that is pulling everything towards the center of the earth. But you could lay a heavy weight on top of some soft sand. And once the weight sort of settles and the sand disperses a little bit and spreads out. Hang on a second. I got to figure something out. Okay, forget it. We have the same inertia as a spinning plate. Like in a speeding car, you don't feel pushed back once you get to a speed. Yeah, but the slightest movements you absolutely feel. And we are not in a car. We are not surrounded by something solid like that. There's no shell around us. You're just supposed to believe in this magical atmosphere that recently has been moved out. Apparently, the atmosphere the moon is inside the Earth's atmosphere. It's extended atmosphere. Which is why we could go to the moon all those years ago. We can't do it anymore. No, it works in vehicles where there's a shell around you. However, as soon as you step outside that shell, the force of the movement is felt. And again, what you believe is that the earth, this nature, is always moving at the exact same speed. Because even if the earth slowed down like a little bit, we would be like, whoa, what the fuck was that? Everybody look around like, what the fuck was that? You'd feel it. If you're in a car and it's going 65 miles an hour and there's the slightest little movement, you move with the car. You changing lanes, you move. Like it's very hard to not feel the movement. Ouch. And again, you think there's this magical force that's pulling everything in. Magical force that's pulling everything in. Then this magical shell of air that is spinning at the exact same speed as the earth below it for some reason. And, you know, like that can easily be explained. Like so much of, again, what you call gravity can be explained by buoyancy and density. Gravity is something that is only theoretical. It only exists in the mind. There's no gravity tester. There's no gravity machine to check the gravity on this, that, and the other. It just doesn't work that way. And if there was some sort of force pulling everything down, planes wouldn't fly. You know? And then never mind shit like helium, right? Helium, you fill a balloon with helium and that force that's able to hold you to a spinning ground. It's able to hold all these cars in place and everything like that, because the reason they're not flying off of this spinning thing is the gravity that's holding everything down. Fill a balloon with helium and whoop, 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 it just flies away. And it's because scientifically, the thing that you're quoting, but you don't want to acknowledge, scientifically, helium is lighter than the air around it. Helium is lighter than this air that's everywhere. But a dense solid object won't fall through a less dense solid object. What? What does that have to do with anything? The ground that I'm on is less dense than I am. It's compacted and shit, but it's easy to get through. And you know, you better not buy the 9/11 story then, because you believe that a small little object pushed all the way through to the bottom with free fall speed and shit. That's a whole different thing. But what does that have to do with it? Why would the earth stop spinning though? Nobody said anything about stopping spinning. But nature doesn't work. So for the earth to be at a constant spin that never deviates, never goes faster, never goes slower, never has, never will, while also traveling around another thing going 67,000 miles per hour. That's not how nature works. That would be like saying if you went to Old Faithful, every single time Old Faithful erupts, it erupts the exact same amount of water, and every droplet that goes up comes down and hits the exact same spots. It would have to be precise, and nature's not like that. It doesn't work that way. That's why, big giant fucking boats, big metal fucking boats, huge tanker ships with that are empty a gazillion pounds, but then when full of different tanker, storage tanks, and these things are bigger than you can even fucking imagine. They're so huge, made of metal, and they float on the water. They float on the top. If there was some sort of force pulling everything down, don't you think it would pull it down? It would override the small little pockets of air that exist? How about airplanes, right? The biggest airplanes weigh around 68,000 pounds. Or no. The biggest airplanes weigh like 600,000 pounds. Empty. The largest airplanes hold 68,000 gallons of fuel, supposedly in the wings. So that would mean like full of fuel of passengers, whatever. These planes are upwards of 1,000,000 pounds or more, flying around with a magical force trying to pull them into the earth. We would not feel the earth moving unless the earth changes speeds. That's what I'm saying. In all of the time that it's existed, it's never changed speeds, even a little bit. It's never had a 1 mile per hour slowdown or 1 mile per hour speed up. Nothing. It's always the exact fucking same, like a computer. Like a car, as long as you go the same speed, it feels like you are not moving. That's just not true. That's just not true. And the idea that you're going the exact same speed is almost impossible. There's always the slight little deviations in your foot pressure, in the wind, in all of it, in the grade that you're going up and down. Like the speed changes consistently. And again, let you change lanes. If you change lanes, you can feel it. How does that prove anything? How do you prove gravity, dude? Just answer that question. Other than shit you're told to think is happening, how do you personally prove gravity? And more than likely, the dumbass response is, I dropped something and it falls down. Or, I'm not flying off in space, some shit like that. Those things are easily explained outside of gravity. And if you think that the Earth is spinning around at 1,000 miles per hour, going through going around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, the solar system is moving at roughly like 500,000 miles per hour, and the galaxy itself is moving through the universe at upwards of 1,000,000 miles per hour, and we don't feel any of it. I know I am, but it's frustrating. You can't even find a common ground. This guy doesn't believe in literally anything. Oh, here we go. So instead of answering questions and having the conversation, you're talking to the guy stroking you. Oh, you're right. I am right. Oh, thank you. Oh, that feels good. I literally don't believe in anything. Well, I believe I'm here. Why would I believe what I'm told? What gives you the arrogance that you have? Literally, you believe what you're told to believe. And then you have the arrogance to say, well, the same people that tell me the earth is round, and I believe that, tell me that Oswald shot Kennedy by firing off 3 shots in 8 seconds, one of which is the magic bullet using a bolt-action rifle that not even the world's best snipers could do. I don't believe that shit. I definitely don't believe Oswald shot Kennedy, right? You don't believe Oswald shot Kennedy, right? I'm not arguing anything in good faith. Gotcha. In good faith, you're right. I don't have good faith for anything. But I'm not arrogant like you. Your arrogance is blinding. The crazy part is once you stop believing in the narrative, you see just how stupid the narrative is. Which one is it again? Does gravity make things revolve around each other or make things stick? I'm just trying to understand what it is you believe. See what I mean? You over one done so quick. Yep, that's what it is. Yep, so I literally asked you the question, but you don't want to answer it. And now it's my fault. Yep, I just don't believe anything. And okay. I'm sorry your arrogance is so strong. I'm sorry you pick and choose which things you can believe in without any proof. What question? How do you prove gravity exists? Where's your proof of it? And do you believe Oswald shot Kennedy? Lone assassin kind of thing? Do you believe those things? Oh, guess it's time to leave, says the dumbass. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Oh shit, I keep doing the wrong thing. I changed it and made it look different. But I didn't mean to move this, but yeah, I'm just saying we know things fall if not supported by something, right? Do I think that things fall down? Yes. Sometimes. There are all sorts of things like cotton seeds that don't fall down without being supported. You know, they're not supported and they don't fall down. There are things like birds that don't fall down. Nothing is supporting them. They're just flying. I'll be white, black. 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. Bitch ass nigga. Yeah, don't stay on topic. Density is a factor. Oh, okay. So wait a minute. So that's not the answer to the question. Seems like it's a simple question, right? Seems like you shouldn't be dancing around, going from topic to topic. Blah blah blah, right? That shouldn't be the thing. You should just be able to You should be able to just answer the question. Why do you believe in gravity? Oh, here we go. Simple question, don't have answers, blah, blah, blah. But why do dense things go down and not up? Are you fucking serious right now? You're trying to pretend like you're super smart and you're saying really dumb things. Why would they go up? It's weight. I mean, it's weight. Now, if you're spinning on a ball going at 1,000 miles per hour, then I guess it should be flying off. But then that sort of debunks the rest of your arguments, right? So when I ask the question, gaslight and blah, blah, blah. Right. Because I haven't been answering your questions this whole, more and more crybaby to acknowledge that you, or to hide the fact that you can't seemingly address this question. Now it's not, there's no simple answer for why you personally believe in gravity. Although the simple answer is because you were told to, right? Well, you just don't want to say that. I don't understand. Why don't you just want to say the truth? You believe it because that's what you were told. Seems strange, man. Seems strange that this is so difficult. Yes, I'm having another meltdown. Look at me flipping out. And I'm gaslighting. Stop gaslighting me. So silly. So silly. Shouldn't you be like proud? Shouldn't you be like I know these things and if I'm going to put myself in the position to where I'm claiming to have some sort of knowledge, shouldn't you be able to handle this without folding as soon as some pressure comes your way? Without crying because I'm not answering or responding to you how you think I should? Yep, there we go. So you're just not going to remember. You're just not going to answer. And I get it. You can't. And you're too much of an arrogant bastard to acknowledge that the only reason you believe it is because you're told to. But this is how things work. I mean, this is what happens 100% of the time. Whether it's these dumb fucking these Christians are even worse. Like these dumbass Christians are it's the same sort of stupidity. It's just worse. You know, it's worse. Gaslighting. He's gaslighting. He flips between weight and density as to why things fall. No. It's both. You dumbass. It's both. How can you be so stupid? Nobody's flipping between anything. Weight and density. Instead of some silly magic force. Oh. Somebody else is meeting somebody else up here for the same fucking reason. That's interesting. Oh. Yeah. All I do is gaslighting. Such a jerk for asking questions you don't ask and can't answer yourself. Gotcha. Hate that gaslighting. He's taking for granted that you just go down, that things just go down. It's just how it is, I guess. Shouldn't bother trying to figure it out. Yep. Because buoyancy and density, they don't have, those aren't like figuring it out. Right? I'm just saying, oh, it just does, because there's a magical force that pulls it all down. It's a magical force. It makes certain things spin around and makes other things revolve around, and it makes certain things stick. And yep, magic forces are the better answer. It's a magic force. It's Jesus. Jesus does it. Pedophile Jesus does it. Yep, that's what it is. Jesus. Look at the gaslighting. He doesn't have a job. Like, isn't that funny? I thought I was the one gaslighting. Depends on the scale and size of what gravity does. No, it doesn't. Okay. Now, so gravity knows. Gravity is like, oh, okay. So these rocks are super big. So instead of making them stick together, I'm going to make them spin around each other. I am. Because they're big, and I know this because I'm super smart gravity. Oh, crybaby alert. Sounds like gaslighting. Sounds like someone's gaslighting. Sounds like the dumb Christian who can't answer simple questions is gaslighting yet again. Oh, you guys make this so easy. Seriously. It's so simple. This is dumb inbred Israeli bullshit, as always. Just more dumb inbred Israeli bullshit. Oh, look. The one person who pretending to be smart, joined 15 years ago and has 2 subscribers. Totally makes sense. Totally. I thought you were smart at first. Stop gaslighting me. Stop gaslighting me. Oh, stop gaslighting me. I get it. You can't answer simple questions. See, this is the part where it would be nice if people would just be like, wow, I guess I'm dumber than I thought. You know? Fuck. I thought I was smart. I thought I knew things, but I guess I was wrong. Like, that would be so much nicer. But that never seems to be the case. They just keep digging the hole and, well, it depends on the size, because gravity's a size queen. Gravity likes it real big. And if it's real big, then it flies around it and around it and around it forever. Because the moon is in a tidal lock with the Earth, so that we always see the exact same face, no deviation whatsoever. It actually happens to be spinning at the exact same speed as the Earth. When it happens to line up, it happens to be the exact distance to line up right in between the Earth and the sun and block out the sun. Makes total sense. Granted, during an eclipse, you can't see the moon before it gets in front of the sun, but you can see it when it's in front of the sun. I think he quit growing when a bully kicked him around in 5th grade. Stop gaslighting me! Stop gaslighting me! I thought you were smart at first. Stop gaslighting me! Oh, you people are so fucking stupid, it's unreal. It's unfucking real. Not that big fat guy. Big fat guy. Oh, you're fat. Ah, you're fat. How you guys doing?
How are you, buddy? Let me know what you want. I'll pick it up. I've been fine, Dad. It's only like 25 minutes. Yeah. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, cool. That was awesome. I'm gonna make some money off this guy. I already did, but I'm gonna make a lot more money. Look at this shit. You just got nothing to say, man. It's amazing how stupid you guys are. Gravity is a theory, but we can't argue the effect. What are you talking about? It's a theory. Why would gravity in 2025 still be a theory? Why is the germ, why are germs still germ theory? It should be fact, and it's not. And the fact that you can't give simple answer to things should really wake you up, because it tells me all I need to know about you. But it's you know, you should use the same scrutiny, the same skepticism everywhere. And instead, based on arrogance, you pick and choose. I know I did it. For all those years that I would say, you know, somebody would talk about the earth shape, the flat earth and whatever. And I'd be like, oh, you know, or the Bible. When people would bring up the Bible, I would say, oh, you believe the thing that people wrote when they thought the earth was flat? And I you know, used to make fun of it, and I would talk shit and all these things. And then and then, oh, hang on, I gotta pee again. Goddamn watermelon and tea, this is weird. Wow, that was dumb, Cal. Why'd you do that? It's just strange to see how, like, what are you doing, Cal? You having a hard time there, fat boy? What's the matter? Whoa, you're getting fat. I mean, think about, why does this dumbass keep retracting their messages? What kind of weirdo shit are we dealing with here? I'm going to say something, and then I'm going to retract it. I'm going to say something, and then I'm going to retract it. They have to do it. It doesn't just automatically happen. They have to do it. So don't call it gravity. So what do you want things to... Don't call it gravity. Call it... So... What the fuck is that? That was really weird. So don't call it gravity, call it what you want. Things fall, no? It's so stupid. Not even gonna bother engaging in these kinds of conversations. This is the stupidity that always ends up happening. That's so frustrating and boring. It's boring. You know? Things fall, no? Well, yeah, but along with everything else that you believe it for the wrong reasons. And if what you believe is for the wrong reasons, then everything that comes from that belief is wrong. fuck is that noise? That is so weird. Never heard that before. Hey, chubby girl, come here. God damn it. So sick of this pipe. I mean, this bong. It's a bong.
Oh, there's beef.
Come here.
What you want?
You got to come out here and hear this. I want to know what's making this noise. God damn it.
Where's that beef?
What bee? It's not going to do anything. Of course, now I can't hear it anymore. It sounded like it could be a woodpecker, but it also could be like a squirrel. Maybe that's what I was hearing, that bird jumping around right now. Maybe it's that woodpecker. Is it a woodpecker? It doesn't look like a woodpecker. That had to be it. Yeah, that's a woodpecker. It must have been a woodpecker, but the branch it must have been hitting sounded so strange. Good morning. How are you? Living a dream, living a dream.
Hi.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Here? I just heard it a second ago.
I don't know what it is.
Of course I am. It's got to be that woodpecker. And now it's gone. It flew away. Look at these dumbass people, just so obsessed that they come here. Like the guy with the Sonic profile, so he can attract little kids to his profile. Like, what a fucking weirdo. He's been here for days and days, hours at a time. Never says anything of value. Go away, B. Go away. I got my horsetail. He loves the attention. Yes. I love that excuse. I love when people are too dumb to actually say anything that matters. And they're gaslighting me. Stop gaslighting me. That I just wanted to. If I just wanted attention, I'd be talking about the glory of God and how great Jesus is, and give me your money because Jesus is great. You don't go against the grain in a way that seems to inspire weird pedophiles to stalk you because you want attention. If I just wanted attention, it'd be an easy thing to get. And I know you're too stupid to understand what's happening here, what was just said. But if you just want attention, there's much easier ways to go about it. And lucrative, you know. If I was pushing Jesus, that'd be lucrative as hell. Yep, fleshlight. That shit's nasty. Jerking off is bad enough. I used a fleshlight one time and afterwards felt so ridiculous. Felt so like stupid. Like it was just such a weird feeling. It wasn't worth it. It definitely wasn't worth it. And then you're sitting there cleaning it, feeling even worse. Like it's just a terrible feeling. I don't suggest fleshlights. Unless, of course, you know, you're just a weirdo. That's one thing. But as someone that could get laid, you know, I just don't understand average dude issues and, you know, rape and all that shit. Like, I just never, shit blows my mind. The best part about sex is watching the girl get off. Being like, look what I can do. I can make you act, you know, the most like prim and proper girl who is embarrassed super easily will make the dumbest, most ridiculous faces and noises if you're doing it right. And I always found that entertaining. Anyway, I'm going to reset because this is stupid. I should have reset a long time ago. But it was interesting, at least having someone trying to engage. The fact is, when they were asking me stuff and I was answering it, that was fine. We could play the game. But as soon as you start asking them the same questions, they shut down, start crying, you know, looking to be stroked off by the other fucking weirdos on the feed. And that just gets boring. So I'm going to reset. Hopefully there'll be smarter people in on the next one around. I mean, 8 viewers and 7 likes. Totally makes sense, right? Anyway. Your answers were not satisfactory. Yep, that's what it is. My answers weren't satisfactory. Not the one that was crying. It's complicated. It's not a simple answer. Stop gaslighting me. Yep, that's me. Pedophiles, kill yourself.